Mark McCormick. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing very well. It's the day after Memorial Day here. I'm sort of recovering from having I think I had two beers and then I passed out. It was one of those kinds of.
Two beers enough.
Yeah, right. Well, it's wonderful to have you here today, Mark. Let's go ahead and talk about the podcast. This is the hashtag VO podcast, and we do say hashtag. It features interviews of Twitter's VO artists of all stripes from all over the world, and this is a perfect example of how we have artists from all around the world. Today we have Mark McCormick. You can find him on Twitter at Mark A. McCormick, and I'm your host today. My name is Dan Simpson. You could find me on Twitter at iDanSimpsonVO. You could also find me online at iDanSimpsonVO.com. But this show's not about me. It's about my awesome guests that I'm fortunate enough to meet through Twitter. Twitter has been an amazing thing. If there's anyone out there who is looking to expand their network, get on Twitter. Everyone is just super friendly. It is the most amazing thing to happen to my voiceover career. So I just want to throw that out there. But again, this isn't about me. This is about Mark. Mark, again, what's going on in your part of the world? Where are you?
I live in a place called Cheshire, which is in between Manchester and Liverpool. So you'll find that my accent. So hopefully your American audience who are listening in will actually understand my accent as we go along in this interview, because it can confuse. Hopefully, or not.
No worries. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the captioning, and so people can go ahead and maybe watch the translation. When I watched the British Office, the BBC Office, I had to turn on the translation for the first season or so. I was just like, what are they saying? I just couldn't. I didn't have the ear for it. Well, Mark, let's go for this. Let's launch into it. I'm going to go ahead and do rapid fire questions. I want people to learn from you and pick up things from you. And of course, I want to learn from you as well. So let's just do this. Mark, when did you first get into voiceovers? When did you first consider giving it a go and start putting in your energies? When did that happen?
I think roughly I was 6 or 7 years old, and it's an interesting story of how I got into voiceover or actually doing voices or accents. At that time, like any young boy or young girl, we have an imagination. We all have an imagination to actually be something like a cowboy or a spaceman or anything like that. And one morning, I think I was looking out the window, and I don't know, it was just a very boring day in my life. Nothing was going on. It was raining outside. And of course, back in the 80s, there was a lot of great TV on, like Miami Vice, The A-Team, Knight Rider, and all these different great TV shows. And for some reason, when I was watching these shows, I decided I want to be American. It's quite funny. Why would I want to be American? But having this imagination. Why? Because the backdrops of these TV shows, it was always sunny. There was beaches. It was fantastic. I just wanted to be an American. I wanted to wake up the next morning to be an American. And so what happened next was I started to listen to, and I thought, right, I'm going to be an American. So it started off, and I started doing the accent. And I started to pretend that I was American and living in LA and living in Miami. I wanted to do all these things, and I was really getting into it. And what happened next was I started to enjoy it, and I started to actually get passionately involved with this to a point that it became an obsession. And what happened next was, while watching TV, like throughout the 80s and into now, I started to pick up other accents, and like Scottish accents. So I started to do a Scottish accent, watching a Scottish television show. So I was enjoying myself doing that, and I wanted to do more. So I started to do that, and then I moved down to when I was at school doing French in class, and I thought, oh, I could do the French accent. Hello. So I started to do the French accent, and I started to speak in that accent to people, and I started to have fun with that accent. So it started a process where I started to just have fun with the different accents that I was picking up. So every time I was watching TV, I kept on mimicking everything on the TV. So if it was from a very posh person speaking in tone and saying, hello, how are you today, how things are you, I started to do that accent as well. And I just loved doing it. But the sad thing was, at that period of time, I was a shy person. I didn't really express these characters and things that I could do to my family or my friends or anything like that, because I was scared or fearful that I'd get rejected because I could do this at this point in time. I was lacking in confidence, lacking in myself. I didn't know who the person I was at that point in time. But I found that I enjoyed, doing these accents and doing characters like that. And I've just been doing it ever since. It got to a point that now I mimic anything that I hear on TV. So if I could do it in Italian, I can do in Italian. So, in a way that I want to, or I can do anything like that. It's just by picking up what I hear on the TV, on the radio, anything like that. And I just enjoy playing with my voice. And so that's where I've got to now. But about 6 years ago, roughly, I decided that if I don't do this now, if I don't pursue voiceover and actually pursue this as an ambition, as a career, and see where it takes me, I don't think I'll ever do it. And I actually started the process. I started doing demos and that sort of thing. So, but that's how I started and where I am now. So, yeah.
That sounds really cool. So I was going to ask eventually what your specialty was. Would you say, Mark, that one of your biggest specialties is doing these different voices and these different accents and impressions? Or do you also do characters and other things? Do you master in the conversational tone, which is so sought after these days? Or would you say that voices is your specialty?
I think voices are my specialty. I think from when I'm doing a posh accent like I'm doing right now, I can lower my tone to create a very, very different character if I want to. But the issue with doing these type of characters like I've just done then is put a name to that character. And that's the next stage of where I want to actually go, is to take these characters and give them a name and give them, make them real to an audience, to somebody out there. That's where I want to go next. That and so with my voices as well. So all the different voices that I could do with accents, I kind of take the accents and actually try and tweak and move them around and add something with the accent to create a character that is believable, that is different from any standard accent that you do, like just a typical Scottish accent like that, or an American accent. You want to add something to tweak with that American accent. So that's what I've been trying to now been doing, is to tweak with that and just try something different, and actually make something different to actually put out there that an audience can listen to and like. And that's what I want to actually do. So yeah, I think voices is where I want to go in my career, but I still will always look at doing my own natural voice as I'm speaking right now, to do commercial work or anything like that where I just use my own voice. But I do enjoy using my accents because I love doing it. I love the feeling I get from the reaction I do get currently for the different accents that I do and different voices that I do at this current time.
Well, cool. Mark, I don't know about you, but for me, listening to a British man or woman do an American accent is one of my favorite things in the world, just to hear that switch. Because when I try to do the opposite, it's terrible. And if I do a British accent, it's awful. So I want to give you some props. That was a quite a decent American impression. I was really enjoying that. And I'm sure people will enjoy it more. Don't hesitate to do more voices for us. We're really enjoying this. I love it. Just sprinkle in there.
In my mind, I will do.
Okay, so you talked about getting into voiceovers, and you talked about sort of being a specialist with voices and different accents. Do you feel maybe you have other skills that were suited to voiceovers when you first started going?
I think I don't think I did. I think one of the things that I did enjoy singing. I think in an early when I was younger, I wanted to be a pop star, and probably anybody who's that ambitious. but I was never a great singer. But I found through singing every day and just trying to work on my voice, I think that's when my voice started to get stronger and stronger. So it helped me with my voices and actually to develop a very strong voice, to a very deep voice or a very high-pitched voice. So I would go like that if I wanted to speak like that, or a very low tone like I've just done now. That was in an early stage, but when you realise that maybe that's not the career you're going to go down or a path you want to go down, then I decided that voices was the best place to go. But later on in life, of course, I've actually done TV work as an extra. I've been in the background, so I've done within the industry to get an experience of the TV industry, but also the whole of the industry in that sense, to understand that, and also to do a bit of acting as well. So I've done that. I've performed in a couple of independent films as a lead actor, and I've actually done that as well in the last few years. But every time I've done that, it's helped me to improve timing and that sort of thing. But it will. I think I still always think that what I have actually done has helped me to get into voice and use my voices in so many different ways. So that's. I think that's where it's helped me. I think singing and also doing a bits of acting out there to actually allow me to learn timings and that sort of thing. I've also done some voice coaching as well, where I've actually talked to a couple of people within the industry, vocal coaches and people like that, who've actually listened to my voice and actually given me some tips and ideas of ways that I can actually make my voice even stronger than it is currently, and to get the best out of it, to make it more cleaner for the audience and to anybody. So that's been an absolute godsend, and it's something that has been an absolute helpful tool for me to continue in the direction I want to get to. And I'm willing to do anything to actually get to where I want to go. So yeah, they are the kind of things that I've been doing. So it's fantastic.
Mark, in the same vein here, is there any other way that you practice and stay on top of your game at all, and really stay competitive with?
One of the biggest things that I do practice is every morning. I think it's the different tones. As I've just mentioned, the tones that I do is just to. It's like singing. It's like different tones to actually get higher pitch, lower pitch. And also just talking to your wife, your friends, or anything like that. What I do is predominantly practice is to listen to TV, listen to the radio, and actually anything that I pick up, I will listen to and I'll actually play back. It's in a sense, what I will do is actually say what they just said and actually continually speak, continually talk about all my. Continually talk in the different tones and trying to work my vocal cords and trying to work them to get them stronger for each day, every day that I'm actually working on them. And that is the biggest thing. And also practice is a tip that I will give to anybody out there aspiring to be, because practice makes perfect, of course, but I always think, like, if you get a book or a magazine or anything, read off a book, read off a magazine or a newspaper, read off something off the internet, say it out loud, say it strongly, say it out loud. If you want to do accents like I've been doing or anything like, just try to get, listen to, the first thing I do for accents is to listen to other people, American accent, listen to American, and try to see if you can catch that voice and see if you can actually do it. And just keep on practicing at it. That's what I've done since I started when I was 6 years old, is I just kept on practicing every day, constantly. And I think it was like a 24 hours a day thing. It became as an obsession for me that you've got to, the biggest thing is practice. Practice everything. Take as much advice from anybody within the voiceover industry if you want to go down to get that. Talk to voice coaches, anybody who can give you advice on your voice. But the biggest thing I will always say is demo. If you can get a voice recorder, record your voice just for about 10 seconds, listen back to it, and get advice on that. And if you don't, keep on practice. That's the biggest thing I would say as a tip. Is you can be doing this work job for 25 years down the line. You can probably be doing all the different you can be doing commercials, whatever you'd be doing, and more experienced in it, but you can still learn from others out there. So that's a tip that I'll give to anybody.
Oh, I appreciate that, Mark. What we do is we take these tips and we turn them into hashtag voiceover tips, and we post them on Twitter at hashtag, at the VO podcast. And I also share them through at idamsimpsonvo. We'll be sharing those. So thank you so much for these tips. I'm going to write them down and share them with the world here. Next question. What if you could think of a younger Mark McCormick, what would your biggest piece of advice be for him? I think you mentioned earlier that you feel you lacked some confidence. Anything else maybe you'd tell yourself a younger Mark McCormick?
Yeah, one of the biggest things I would tell him is don't fear the unknown. Don't be scared of what you're good at. Don't be scared of the talent that you have. Shout it out loud. Get it out. Go out there. Tell your family. Show your family what you can do. Show your friends what you can do. Because I think if I had done that, if that younger Mark had done that, I think we may have been painting a very different picture of where I may be today. It's one of the biggest things, self-belief. Sometimes you have to believe in that, and sometimes in the early days, all you need is just one person just to show that self-belief in you and in that person. And so if that younger Mark had that person to actually just say, Mark, you're good at that, go for it, and give me also the tools to go for it, I think we would be having a very different conversation today about where I would be. That's the biggest advice I'll give. I think everybody within an acting industry or voiceover industry, we always suffer from a lack of confidence in some form or another. For me personally, there's always been a self-doubt throughout the years. That's why it's taken me so long to get to where I am. But it's due to the fact that all I did was, as I mentioned in the tip, was I just decided away from everybody to do a demo. And I just got one or two people. I made a decision to let people to listen to it. Took the gamble, made the decision, and they liked it. And when I got that reinforcement from one or two people to say, you're good at what you can do, why didn't you do this before? Then you realise that. And I think as soon as you got that in the back of your mind, or the other reaction, another thing that happened to me was I was working with children at one point, and one of the children was upset. So I did one of my funny characters, and I got a laugh, and I got a reaction, and I felt made that person better. And what that does, it made me feel better. And that's the biggest thing, is I got a reaction. That is a positive reaction, a reaction. So where I am at this point is with my demos and the things that I've done, when I get such a wonderful reaction for so many people, it's the greatest feeling. And when I got that one thing at the back of my mind, said that you can do this, you're good at this, go for it. And that's what I've done. And that's why I am passionate, and that's why I push what I do to the envelope. And that's why when I do these voices, I'm not just doing it because I enjoy them. I do them because I want you to enjoy them. I want you to get the full benefit of it. Wherever it takes me, I do this. If I make a full-time career in this, and I wish and I hope I do, but at the end of the day, if I don't, I still will enjoy creating these voices and being myself and actually making people laugh. And I think that's what we are in the industry, in actors or artists. We're there to perform to the audience, and that's what we are for. But you're right. That's be the advice I'll give to a younger Mark. To believe in yourself, and that's the biggest thing.
I think self-doubt is what makes us human, and I think what makes us artists is our ability to just push through that and continue working through that and just always giving that our best. It's not easy, and we do have to confront that self-doubt every step along the way. But I don't know about you. Whenever I step in front of that microphone, I just forget about it, and I just I just launch into it, and I think that's one reason why I really enjoy voiceover.
I think when I did the recording studio, and I did some of the demos that you probably can see on this website later on. When I did the demo, I did all the different accents or characters, and I can hear in the other room the directors and the people actually recording this. They were in the stitches. They were laughing at the different voices I was doing. But when I sat down, I put the headset on, and I started to speak. Yeah, it was like a completely different world. I was in my own world, doing something that I loved and I'm passionate about. And I walked away from after doing that, and the reaction I got from them, and the reaction, since then. It's just the best thing in the world when you get that reaction, and any negative reaction I don't care about anymore. And that's I just focus on the positives that I can do, how I can bring out the best to everybody else. So that's the greatest thing about what I'm doing and what you're doing and what everybody in the voiceover industry does, is to perform and actually get to make people happy, because that's what we're there to do in a sense of the word. So yeah, that's where I'm at and where I'm going. So
Mark, do you have a website that people can check out to maybe find your demos? I'm not remembering that offhand.
I'll have to check this myself. It's www.pro.uk. I'll have to check that. What I'll do is I'll actually put it on the website later for anybody to actually hear, because I can't think off the top of my head what it is. But you can actually find it through Twitter at Mark A. McCormick. You'll be able to find the actual demos on there.
All right, very good. And that is MarkAMcCormick at Mark A. McCormick. Yeah, very cool, Mark. Hey, do you do voiceovers at home, or do you generally do your stuff in the studio?
I do in the studio, but through the iPhone, there is an app called Voice. It's just a voice memo, and I've been doing some voiceovers on there, which has got a very clear sound to it, and I was quite shocked how good it was. And I've sent that off to a few people that I know, and they think they've asked me where I actually got that that app from. They're wondering where I got it from, so I told them where it is, and it's really good. But predominantly, I will, for the short term, in the early days, will probably be in the recording studio, doing not just my demos, but any work that will come my way in the future. So that's where I'm going to be doing that through, probably, as you probably guessed, through an ISDN line to any connections from anywhere within the world, whoever needs my voice. So that's where I'm currently at, and so that's where my path will be. But as time goes on, and hopefully when money can, when I start earning from this, then hopefully I can start building my own home studio through that side of it. So it's a slow process, but you'll get there.
Okay, Mark. Hey, how do you say you generally find new clients? I know that people do this a lot of different ways. A lot of people are very good at connecting directly to clients and casting directors. Some people have used Twitter to their advantage. Some people have used other pay-to-play websites such as Voices or Voices123. I'm sorry if one of these isn't pay to play. I apologize. I'm not a spokesperson for any of these websites.
Nope.
But, I know there are a handful of other types of pay-to-play websites where you can pay to get access to submit auditions through these websites. How do you generally find new clients and build those relationships?
Yeah, one of the things is Voices Pro that I'm currently on, which I can't give you the full website, my full profile for at the moment. They are a paid site which I pay a certain amount a month to, and they will post jobs on there. Plus, they will post opportunities which are not paid, but they're opportunities to get into voiceover. It could be through, universities, colleges, as you would call it in American colleges, and that sort of thing, where you can actually do some, for the students that they need a voiceover for their documentary or anything else that they're actually doing. So there's that opportunity, plus there's paid work as well through that. So I apply through that and then send my demos to different jobs there. Yes, through Twitter I also use. What I have found is that I follow what I tend to do, and it's I will throw it out there, my reels. I'll send it out to voiceover artists. That's one place because I might get a connection. Radio stations, because of course you do use your voice in there for jingles. That's a use of term where it's like an intro to the radio show. Also, because through voiceover you'll also get connections through that way, so that's where Twitter comes in. I'm also on Facebook, which I have another page, so I'll post my demos on there. I found through there I go into casting websites. As I'm currently looking for an agent, I will also contact all the agents all over the world. I've done that continually for a while. I'm still waiting back for people to get in contact with me regarding that. But what I do is I send my Voice Pro demos, reels, to every agent imaginable. And what I've also started to do this week, and I think which is a great idea, is contacting the production companies directly. I had an email from a production company based in San Francisco who do provide voiceovers for cartoons, commercials, games, computer games, or anything of that nature. And I sent my reels through to them, and what was quite nice, I had an email back from them and they have put my file on their database. So hopefully I might get something from that venture, but I will continually do that. As production companies, casting directors, I'll send to anybody. One of the things that I've sent my reels to was, I will say this was a lady, as many people probably know, as Bart Simpson, Nancy Cartwright. I followed her on Twitter, and she has been fantastic in the support that she's given. I've put my demos to her, and actually she's retweeted and also shared a lot of my tweets to her friends and to the people within it, who she knows. So there's always hopeful in that, and that's wonderful. It was a wonderful feeling to actually get that type of reaction from somebody so experienced and so big in the industry, and has played so many wonderful characters, because she was an inspiration when I first started, back when The Simpsons first started, way back in the late 80s. She was an inspiration with Harry Shearer, who's an inspiration as well. But to actors, to anybody, I will always, as a tip to anybody aspiring to be, just send it out, get as much feedback out there to as many people as possible. But hopefully through casting directors, through being retweeted by a person who's actually famous in the industry, if they can actually get a connection through that, there's the opportunity to get a job or any work that way. So I would suggest, as a tip, is to apply to anybody, casting directors, production companies, TV companies, you name it. if you've got any good demos out there and you just want to get it out there, send it out there. You just never know. One person may listen and like it, and it's just as simple as that. That's all it takes. It's like in an acting sense, it only takes one person to look at your face and they think, you know, hey, that person's good for this job. That's what I'll say about that.
Mark, you've demonstrated a lot of really excellent, top-notch voices and accents along the way. I was wondering if you feel you have a really specialty accents that are well-suited to certain projects, in case anyone's listening who maybe could help you out?
I think one of my favorite is that it's a posh accent, and I will actually have this conversation with you now, Dan. I mean, I've always wanted to get into voiceover, and I've really wanted to get a job in this industry. I can understand all these great voiceover artists out there who could do all these wonderful things, but I think I'm better than them. I think I could do something so spectacular that anybody who listens will want to take me on. I can make us, you know, lots and lots of money. I'm just wonderful. You know, I'm absolutely spectacular. And this is what I'm saying, Dan, that other person that you just spoke to, he's absolutely right. I am the most spectacular man in the world, and I think I can do this voiceover thing better than anybody in the world.
I think you found the confidence there, Mark. There it is. That's what you were talking about. That younger you could use a little dose of that, huh?
So there you go. Well, the American accent, when I can do all sorts of things with it. But no, but this is when you start getting confident with these things, and you start having conversations with people and all that sort of thing. But to the English audience out there, I think one or two. The Scottish accent is one, but for you, for the American audience, if they're listening in, now you've heard of the Beatles. One of the accents that I get such a great reaction from, especially from my wife and any other, is a Liverpool accent, which is, all right there, you're right, Dan, you're right.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I remember reading that in England, people move around and they try to change their accents so that they're more accepted in certain industries, and I think that was really funny. And I heard Liverpool was the #1 accent that people wanted to run away from as quickly as possible.
It's a great accent, you see. It's really, really good, you know. You know, they also say these type of words like lad for lad, and all that sort of thing. But it's you know, it's something that I've got a great reaction from a lot of people. But when I mention it to you guys in the American audience listening in, is that doesn't sound like one of the Beatles, because they have a little bit of a different tone about it. So that's one I get a great reaction from. The Scottish accent I like doing a lot of the time. Sometimes it's Glaswegian, but what I do, I'm not always the greatest at impersonations. But Billy Connolly, have you heard of Billy Connolly over there?
Sure.
Yeah, and Billy Connolly, how he speaks, he goes, "Hey there, I'm Billy Connolly, and I like to tell you all these silly jokes all the time." But that's me being exaggerating the Scottish accent, because I think he's from Glasgow, so it's different. So it's things like that, and then of course the French accent is something that I like doing. But if I do Italian, go what do you do, and you know, different things like that. You know, it's I tweak with it, but I think the one thing that I do is like the American one I just did earlier, is that I've lowered my tone or changed it, or I can do it. For a trailer type thing, is like, "This is Jack Bauer, watch 24 now," and it, you know, really scary voice, and to a point that I get told that you've got to, you know, don't bring out scary voice, because you know it can get very, if I wanted to, very creepy and very in your face. "I'm going to kill you now," that type. It's just tweaking with my voice and lowering different tones, and I just love doing it. And so if I'm selling, that's my favorite, was the posh one. I seem to get such a great reaction from that one. You know, like the Queen and all that, and Cup of Tea, and you know, that sort of thing. But any others like that, if I'm selling myself out there, I just I can do more than this because of my vocal range. I think it's just finding something. You know, if somebody asks me, Mark, can you do something with that voice, tweak it? I probably can. But until somebody asks me that, I don't know. I won't know at the time. So it's just me having so much fun playing with my voice. That's the key, and enjoying it. And that's why I believe I'm going to get where I want to go, and it will happen. You know, I have to be confident. You have to believe that you'll get to that point. I think that's, you know, one of the things. I think, you know, the feedback I've had is fantastic. But you know, I will mention that if you have an iPhone and you speak on the iPhone to ask for a restaurant or anything, there's something called Siri. Have you heard of Siri on the iPhone?
Yes,
She speaks to.
She's my companion.
Susan, her name is. She follows. She follows me on Twitter, and she's actually emailed me with feedback regarding my voice as well. So.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Siri in the iPhone. Like you go, hey Siri, you know, where's
Siri. Yeah, you know that your iPhone, you've got you ask for a restaurant, you got a Siri, haven't you? Where you ask and somebody speaks back to you to tell you where to go for a restaurant or anything like that. So I actually got to speak to her as well, the actual actress behind that. So
I just put it together that it's an actual person. Yeah, someone actually had to voice that, didn't they?
Yeah, she's actually on Twitter, and she follows me, and I follow back, and she's given me some feedback because in the industry as well. So, and she's quite positive about it as well. So I'm pretty pleased when you're getting reactions like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's really, you know, it's fun getting all these pieces and actually taking it to the next step and actually working and actually doing the things you want to do. So that's where it's going to take.
I want to ask maybe a fun, silly question here. I'm wondering what maybe your favorite voiceover that you've ever done is, even if it's just an audition. Some of my favorite voiceovers I've done have just been auditions that I've submitted, and I really enjoyed it. And your favorite voiceover, and perhaps your least favorite voiceover that you've ever done, maybe took you to the brink of what you're willing to do, or your skills, or whatever. What were your favorite and least favorite voiceovers you've ever done?
My favorite, and I don't know, I love doing this one. It's an older man, and it was. I'll try to get into character for. No, then, my dear, you can't understand me. You see, back in my day, we used to walk down the road, and all these bombs used to drop everywhere, and I used to hide everywhere, and back I'm now an older man, and I've got to be the best person. I've got to be just for you, Dan. I have to be just for you. I have to be the best person I have to be. But I am 89 years old now, and I have to walk with this silly walking stick and do something. So that's one of my favourites. And another favourite one, I've got quite a few, but one favourite is, oh, back in my day, oh, hello, is this Dan? Oh, hello, Dan, oh, I've got to say this, it's actually very, very dull out here today, oh, God, Oh, what's your name again? Oh, Dan, is it? Oh, right.
Yes, Dan.
Yes, welcome to what's this computer thing? I've never saw this internet thing before. What is it? Oh, that's my favourite one. That one. If in England, that was probably more recognisable, but it's just that one I enjoy doing. It's quite get a reaction. The least favourite. It's just my natural voice.
You want to avoid your normal voice as much as possible, huh?
No, I think the least that one I would put. I think trying to do an Irish accent, I can't. As much as I'm half Irish, I have to listen to somebody speaking Irish to do the Irish accent, and I can't always get it right all the time. So I'm trying to do that, and all the time. See what I mean? I can't get that all the time. I have to listen, and it goes into something like an Indian person. I go, hello, an Indian person speaking that way, and having a curry. Would you like to have a curry and that sort of thing? But the Irish accent, I have always seemed to have a little bit of a problem with. So I have to listen. So when I tried to actually I did a demo for it, and I keep up, and I sent it off, and then I thought, nah, that's not my best one, personally, because what I found when I did listen back to it, it did seem to tweak off into somewhere else. It was going off to another accent, and which can be a problem sometimes, because I'll mention, have you the Cockney accent? When you do a Cockney accent, you're all right down in Cockney land, really having a good time. What happens is you don't realise it can go right into an Australian accent. G'day, mate, you're right. It sounds very similar.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out. That's a tip for anybody who's actually do accents. Try not to go from one accent to another, because you can fall into one and the other, and it's very, very easy. Because I've listened back to demos or anything that I've recorded, and I can actually hear my thinking, oh God, I've gone in that direction, so I have to redo it, and it's quite hard to actually keep. So, but sometimes when I do a Cockney accent, it will stay as it is, but then every so often it'll creep off into an Australian accent. But yeah, I think the Irish one, as much as I'm half Irish, I have to be able to actually listen to the Irish accent before I start doing it, or else it's just going to go pear-shaped, literally.
Well, from where I'm sitting, all your accents are just stellar. If I try to do any accent, if I try to do specifically an Irish accent, it goes from Irish to British to Indian British, and then to Jamaican, in that order. Order.
It's just a throw out ideas, man. You can do Jamaican if you want to. It's not really which you want to. Bob Marley and all the rest of it. And then yes, you're right. Jamaican go to an Indian person, and you're going to have a curry and that sort of thing, But it tweaks around. So yeah, because the Indian one actually can be into a Welsh accent. So I'm not very good at Welsh, so I'll keep away from that one for the time being. No, but yeah, the American one I love doing, and that was my first, and because I love America, and I'm not just saying that to yourself. I've been several times, but I just love America, and that's what created the person I am now, and why I do all these different characters. It's the start of where I was and how I got to where I am now. So I'll always be fond of that American accent, and I always love. I mean, one of the most funniest stories I always tell is that a new starter, a job that I do. I did the American accent to him, and he actually thought I was from America. Until I told him I wasn't, he was actually quite shocked. So that reaction. So it's great when you can do things like that, and you can actually fool people with it as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So it's great.
Mark, do you have? We're going to wrap this up here. Do you have any lasting tips? Any tips that you feel like you'd like to share? I know you talked about maybe giving some tips to a younger Mark McCormick. I'm wondering if you have any tips for people who perhaps have similar amount of experience as you do, maybe less experience than you. Anything you could share that I can throw up on Twitter?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I will give to any young aspiring is enjoy what you do. Just enjoy the voices that you. Anything, just enjoy your voice. Just learn to enjoy it. That's the biggest tip I give, is try not to be too stressful. I'm going to use a term here. Try not, if you have to go and get a 30-second demo, don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything. And this is the biggest tip. Yeah, I will say the biggest tip is when you go into recording studio, don't fear the recording studio. Don't fear using any of the equipment or a microphone or anything like that. But I will say the biggest thing is enjoy it. Don't fear it, because at the end of the day, just go out there and enjoy what you can do. If you can do accents, great. go out there, you know, get on a microphone or just use your phone, doesn't matter. Just have fun. Don't fear it. Don't be scared of it. The thing is, if you're thinking for the first time to go into a recording studio, the tip that I would give is don't be scared of the microphone or the other person behind the glass who's talking to you or anything like that. Just go in there. If you've got a script, go for it. You know, just go for it. Just read the lines. Have fun with it. Listen back. If you don't think it's any good, do it again. The other thing is I'll give a tip on is for demos, for scripts. A simple thing that I use for scripts for my demos is I think was found via a website, as you probably mentioned, called Voice123, which had all trailers, commercials for 30 seconds of each, because I would actually give a tip that each of your demo should be around 30 seconds long on each. And then if you can amalgamate them all into a minute, so you've got 3 different types, and use different trailers, different commercials, different. It could be anything. It could be anything that you want. If you want to do, because the biggest thing is casting directors out there or agents or anybody you want to actually listen will not listen to a 6-minute monologue about something from a film or anything like that. It has to be short and sweet, from 30 seconds or even less than that. Just get it into a few trailers and that'll be absolutely perfect. So there's a couple of tips, but I just think the biggest thing that I'll say is enjoy it. Go in there, go and enjoy yourself. Don't get too serious with it. The business, you know, it can be serious, but if you can go in there and enjoy yourself, then you know everything that you do will be spot on. It'll be fantastic.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, joining us from, if I'm not mistaken, Cheshire, England.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Very good. It's wonderful. I'm looking forward to sharing some of these voiceover tips that you've been sharing with me today. I want to thank you for sharing your time with me and with our viewers. We'll have some people tuning in to watch this on YouTube later. It's just been a blast. I want to thank you once again. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Dan. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you too.
It's all my pleasure, and we'll hope to see you guys soon. Any other viewers out there, will be coming up with some more interviews, some live interviews, and then we are going to launch this podcast here on the 30th of this month. That's coming up in just a few days. It's going to be very exciting. We'll go ahead and make all of these videos live and start going with some more interviews. If you would like to be interviewed, go ahead and contact me on Twitter at the VO Podcast, or you can contact me at @DanSimpsonVO, or directly at hashtag VO Podcast @gmail.com. You guys, I'm hoping to see you guys soon. Mark, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Twitter and sharing with you all of the things that you've shared with us today. And I guess we'll talk to you later.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Take care.
Have a good day. Thank you. Peace now. Bye.